Greetings, you already know what it is, new patch, let us begin. Alright, so the patch notes are currently not in the English, so I will need to translate them through very sophisticated and hacker means, aka Google Translate and the like. So that is why the text will look a bit different from last times, indubitably. But nonetheless, we begin. Alrighty, weapon parts. First we have the machine gun Ludlow, receiving some love, a good old improvement. Improvement to its recoil, so less recoil, less weight, and more bullet speed. And right next to it we have the Estrogen. The following performance has been reduced, so a nerf, attack power / direct hit adjustment, so it's a little less hard hitting. I actually now want to test these two next to each other real fast. Alright, so with Bastion arms, the horse recoil arms, let's see if it can handle the entirety of a Ludlow. I'm not 100% sure if it could or couldn't last time. I imagine it couldn't, but let's see. Looking strong. Alright, all the way. It can totally handle it. Next to the Estrogen, I'm sure it can also handle it. I mean, it must. Makes sense. What about both at the same time? Yeah, it gives away a little bit there, but that's okay. Alright, let's slap on arms like Melander, and I know it would give out if you were to pair the Ludlow with, say, the Tanner, which is a pretty cool combo in indubitably. So let's see if it gives away now. It does still give away. Okay, so you're not able to give away with that combo 100%. Estrogen might be a little bit better if you want no recoil and just spraying and praying, but alright, alright. Nice little reduction, nice little buff for the Ludlow. Not going to say it's going to make it better than the Estrogen, but I'll definitely have to kind of feel the impact or I guess it's just the damage and direct hit, which isn't really what you want from the Estrogen anyway. That's just an added bonus. What we really like is its amazing impact buildup, indubitably. So if they nerfed that, that may have made a difference, but seemingly this buff / nerf won't really do too much. Definitely makes the Ludlow a little more usable, which is cool. It already is decent, but yeah, that's cool. Alright, next we have the Javelin Alpha Bazooka. It has been buffed in reload time and bullet speed. Oh wait, hold up. Alright, so the reload time is 4.1, which is now faster than the Majestic, which is only 4.2, so it's only 0.1 seconds, so it's nothing crazy. So essentially it only got a 0.3 second buff in reload time, which is still fine. Faster bullet speed as well, that's pretty nice. I really wish we did have more direct stats on this, but yeah, that's cool. I mean, overall Javelin buff is pretty cool. Although, of course, Majestic still has its place as being very light, so that's good. Alright, next we have the grenade launcher Dizzy, which has been improved, buffed in its reload time. Reload time is now 5.6 seconds. I feel like it was somewhere around 7 seconds before, so it's pretty nice. What I kind of want to know about this is if we put it on the shoulder, usually, because it's pretty much, or not pretty much, it is the handheld earshot. However, because weapons that are usually, arm units stored on the back, they reload slower than back units, or they overall reload slower when they're on your back, right? And so I tested to see if it's just better having 2 Dizzies instead of 2 earshots for a faster reload, because, on paper, the Dizzy reloads faster, but it's on your shoulder, it does reload slower. So I found that the Dizzy indeed reloads a lot slower when on your shoulder compared to the earshot. So now I want to see if that is still the case. So we'll shoot both. Bonk. Let's see how close the reload time is. Seem near identical, indubitably. Although earshot does reload just a little bit faster. And you don't need to waste time swapping. Okay. So pretty similar now, which is pretty cool. Closer anyway. Maybe the Dizzy is a tad bit more viable nowadays. Alright, next we have the LRA, which got buffed in its heat generation during attacks, so it does less, or it has less heat buildup during attacks, which might mean you get more shots. This now means you, I believe, you get, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 shots before overheating, and, the overheat ain't too long. Not too sure if that's 1 over its usual. It only had 5 or so before. But, any buff to these type of lesser used rifles, is that better? At least lesser used majorly, indubitably. Anytime I go for an LR, I'd probably just go for an LR, or an LRA, I'd probably just go towards the LR. But now, the attack heat buildup is pretty similar between the two, so that's pretty cool. Next, we have the Walt rifle. The following performance has been improved. Cooling performance / bullet speed. Yeah, I feel like, its bullet speed already got buffed up in the last patch or so, or the patch before the last patch, So they're really just trying to make this a legendary weapon, which I'm honestly here for. I think it's a really cool weapon. It just needs a little more love, and then it's like crazy. Although it might be a little too crazy. There's a little bit more. During normal shooting, increase attack power, impact, and remaining impact for the projectile portion. Decrease attack power, impact, and remaining impact for the explosion upon impact. And I assume this is all for the normal attack, not the charge attack. I mean, the charge attack already got some love, so that makes sense. So what that means is the normal hit, boom, that does more attack, or more damage or impact, yada yada, but the little explosions after the fact do a little less than they usually did. So that might balance it out, meaning this is kind of just like a nothing buff, but maybe it just does a little more. Naturally, can't really notice it doing any more necessarily, but still it's pretty cool. It's really, if you kind of slow down your fire rate on it, you can effectively shoot it infinitely. The cooling is that good. That's kind of cool. Does lessen the fire rate from what you could have, but kind of worth it, indubitably, especially if you have two of them. Just alternate between the two, slow down your fire rate a little bit, hit your shots, maybe have some missiles for some uptime. I want to make a Walt rifle build, the Kool-Aid, the red Kool-Aid man, indubitably. Really, it's the bullet speed that I'm most shocked with. This already shoots pretty damn fast. There's a lot of damage, and it's coral damage, so it doesn't care about your defenses. So yeah, very cool, very cool. All right, next we have the hand missile Imperative, which has been buffed in reload time, now only taking 6 seconds to reload. Again, we're not 100% sure what it was before. 6 seconds is still a bit of a beefy time, but for something as strong as the Imperative, I think that's pretty fine. All right, next, the VP61 PS Pulse Shield, probably the most popular shield in the game, even though it got nerfed last time, taking one of its blocks. Only has 5 now, you should have 6, although it has been nerfed. It has nerfed the IG instant guard attack or resistance, so it has less parry power. Oh wow, I feel like it used to be like maxed out a little bit now. I'd have to go for other shields, more actual bucklers if you actually want some parrying power, which I suppose is, yeah, as it should be. All right, next up, another pulse shield, the SUR8, improved, buffed up IG duration and EN load. Nice, nice, nice. All right, next up, the stun needle launcher has been buffed in attack power and bullet speed. Ooh, that could be pretty dope. I always thought this needed very fast bullet speed to be more of like a ranged cannon of sorts. Before, you would just kind of run the LCS over it at any time, but I mean, that damage is actually pretty solid now. Good direct hit, good base damage. It might be pretty solid. And actually, we have laser cannon LCB. The following performance has been improved: firing performance, rapid fire capability. So it has a faster fire rate. Let's see if we feel it, because before it was very sluggish. Let's see. Pow. Spamming it, pow. Yeah, it still feels about the same. I don't know if they buffed it a whole lot. I don't know if firing this a bunch of times is necessarily a good thing to do. But it's here now. Thankfully, it doesn't feel too fast. The reload still takes a while, so there's that. Yeah, it still takes a while. Alrighty, next we have the MLT4 cell, improved reload and weight. Interesting. This is already a very lightweight missile with very fast fire rate / reload time, of course. The reload time is now 3.8 seconds, which does it put it near on par with the Duo 02? Similar, but still a little slower, indubitably. Next, we have the MLT6 cell. The following performance has been improved. Better reload time, so 4-second reload time. All right, then a nerf to the reload time of both the Duo 02 and the 3-cell plasma missile. Interesting. So the plasma missile now has a 4.2 reload time. Damn, that feels like a lot for just the single cell variant as well. And then a 3.1 second for the Duo 02. And that is it for weapons. Now moving on to the parts. All right, the head Knockcrier has been improved in weight. Very cool. The Firmeza head has been improved in AP and stability. And then the Alba has been buffed in stability. The Wrecker legs have been buffed in bulletproof, EN proof, explosion proof. So I'm guessing just the defenses have been buffed up. Cool, cool, cool. Nothing game-changing so far. Then we have the Ephemera legs, which has been buffed in its horizontal jump performance and weight. So there's better hops and weights. That's cool. Not sure if that will save it, make it more of a top contender leg, but it's still pretty nice. Good to have that type of variety if you want a little more style, I suppose, if it's something you're looking for. Next, we have the HAL legs, which have been buffed in AP, weight, and EN load. So buffing its AP, huh? How does it compare now to the Mind Alpha? Not as much. Mind Alpha still kind of inches it out. A little less stability, but more AP and defenses. The Mind Alpha is still kind of the king there. And you only lose 1 point of actual boost speed. but I mean, it's not that different. They're so close you could run either or. It's really up to preference of either pure optimization or a little more style. All right, spring chicken reverse joints has been buffed in stability and load limit. Very cool, very cool. I don't know if it needs load limit necessarily. It could always hold a lot, but more stability is definitely welcome for our RJ brethren. Very cool. Next, we have the Verl legs, which have been buffed actually in AP, EN resistance, explosion resistance. Interesting to have resistance added in here, but have the whole bulletproof thing for the wrecker legs, but it is what it is. And then movement speed while hovering. I actually kind of want to see that. Let's see exact value. So we're at 265 boost speed. We have Kaku, which is brilliant. So 265 at our max speed. We're just rocking. And then hover goes all the way up to 323. That's actually not bad. And ain't too shabby. Throw on a better booster to get some natural stuff. Maybe like coral. It's very common on Tetras, because, you know, when you're quick boosting, it's like insane distance. All right, so 302, back to 323. Okay, so maybe it has a max speed. Let's go like SPD to max out our natural thrust. So 321 is already our max. We hover, 324. So it seems to max out around 324 every time. Okay, it's not huge then, but it is what it is, I suppose. And then we have the Lamborghini, which has been nerfed. Nerfed in bullet resistant, EN resistance, explosion resistance. So overall, oh my god, look at the kinetic defenses. Jesus Christ. Still has a lot of stability, decent amount of AP. I suppose the only nerf you could really do to it without taking away from its actual appeal of being light and fast and all that good stuff. Although I imagine you could probably nerf its stability, but it is what it is. I do love me my Lamb. And lastly for parts, we have the wheelchair, which has been overall buffed in stability, quick boost EN consumption, assault boost, and weight. So it's overall more tanky and way more maneuverable, faster overall, better ideal weight, all that good stuff. Very, very cool. Indubitably, the wheelchair lovers will indeed enjoy this one. Indubitably. Alright, for inner parts for boosters, we have the Flugel, which has been buffed in thrust and assault boost thrust. Kind of always shied away from the Flugel in, you know, going for the Lula, but I guess, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll consider it more on builds, but I really only throw it on if I have a melee weapon that I plan on melee canceling with. Otherwise, I just rock the Lula, as the Lula still beats it out in all these other, you know, categories. However, it does have good upwards thrusts, much better. So if you're playing a build that wants to be highly maneuverable and also have some good vert potential, might want to rock the Flugel over the Lula nowadays. Next, we have a buff for the gills, buffing their thrust. The thrust is now pretty damn high, very similar to the Lula, only a couple points off really. However, its quick boost is still pretty bad, although the quick boost reload time, of course, is maxed out. So it still has this niche, although now it makes you move around a little faster naturally, so that's pretty cool. Nothing for FCS, moving straight to generators. We have the Yaba, which has been buffed in EN refill performance / EN outputs. So it's less horrible. Very cool, very cool. Maybe putting it more on par with something like the Hakushi, indubitably. And then we have the VP20D generator, which has been as well buffed in EN capacity and refill performance. So regeneration and capacity buffed up for the 20D, which I always thought was kind of a sleeper gen. It's pretty solid, especially in early game if you're playing through the campaign. And yeah, maybe now it's a little more on par and more considerable next to like the 20C and yata yata indubitably. But yeah, those are all the parts and weapon changes. Now we have some bug fixes. Fixed a bug wherein activating the core expansion function would be cancelled if a weapon was purged immediately after activating the core expansion. Alright, I don't think I've ever seen that, but that's pretty cool. Fixed a bug when an attack received at the moment the pulse armor was activated during staggered state would not be treated as a direct hit. Oh, so what, when you stagger someone they pop PA, it just wouldn't count as an actual direct hit? Again, haven't really come across that, but good, that is just fixed. Fixes for online battles. Fixed a bug where the opponent's unit would not be displayed in ranked matches. Again, I don't think I've seen that. Maybe though. There's been some display kind of buggy stuff going around, but other. Fixed a bug where the increased EN consumption value in the part spec display for the booster Alula was different from the actual performance. Okay, so just kind of like a visual bug. Alright, and that is all for this patch, indubitably. Let me know what your thoughts are. For sure, the overall feedback, reception of the patch, a good patch. Unfortunately, no DLC stuff, no parts, you know. But hey, they're still updating the game on a regular basis. Of course, we got the rank reset, so I'll throw an image of the graph showing if your rank will be affected or not, and how far you'll go down if it is, that kind of stuff. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, let me know what you thought of this patch. Have a good one. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, a huge shout out to my channel members, my Egg Crusaders, Arch, Shadow, Metal, Magpie, Hollow, Turbler, and Ronin. Thank you all so much for becoming channel members. Y'all truly make this content possible. And yes, I hope you all have yourselves a very, very good one. Peace, and thank you.